Hi everyone, my name is Leyla Salvadé. I'm the founder of Standing Light. Welcome to the LightStyle interview series. Today, we have the absolute pleasure of shining a light on Leanne Mai-ly Hilgart, who is the founder of Vote. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So, we met at Soho House at an awesome panel, which was, what was the name of it again?
It was the Eco Sessions vegan fashion panel.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And I ran up to you and I was so inspired by you and everything you do and just wanted to bring you on here and share everything that you're doing with the audience. And I wanted to first ask, tell us a little bit about Vote, and then we'll hear your story and how you got there.
Yeah, great, thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, our pleasure.
I started Vote, which is the first all-vegan fashion brand. And we really focus on taking animals out of the fashion equation because I don't believe that animals belong in business. And as we move forward in the world and into the future, compassionate living is really only going to get more and more to be the new standard.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I'm so happy that this is happening because it has to.
It absolutely has to. Yeah, for sure. We've been treating animals like machine parts just from industrialization, and it's time to take them out of that and realize that they're not a cost-benefit analysis or, in terms of always focusing on profit margin and all of that. They're living beings, and they deserve to live their lives. So, yeah, I focus on innovating high-tech, super warm winter coats. I grew up in Chicago. We terribly cold winters, and I really wanted to serve the movement some way. And I grew up doing activism for animals since I was a kid. And then, I had to ask myself, how can I serve the world with my life? And winter coats were something that had always been good enough. They're always like beautiful dress coats that people have, but they were never the best they could be. And because I had an impetus to say, how can we take animals out of business? Right. I was able to put my life savings and 8 months of fabric development into figuring out how to make a winter coat that's warmer than wool, but a dressy, beautiful one that you can wear and feel like yourself 6 months of the year.
And they're beautiful.
Thank you.
I have yet to purchase one, but that's happening very soon.
Thanks.
I've seen them. They're so amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. And so since my parents are both scientists or science people, my mom's a doctor and my dad is an inventor, it's really fun, even though I don't have a fashion background, just to look at it kind of like inventing, thinking like I want it to be warmer than wool and something beautiful you can wear out or to the office or to drinks or whatever, and then it's something that is eco-conscious and made in America. And to me, business is an amazing opportunity to make an impact because everything you do with a business creates change, whether you realize it or not. So it's either creating positive change or it's detrimentally, participating in structures that we aren't choosing to participate in.
That don't work anymore.
That don't work. They don't work, exactly. So so we have the opportunity as human beings to create businesses that can make a positive impact because every time you do one thing, it's exponentially done. So so that's why I wanted to start Vote. And that's why it's called Vote. It's haute high fashion with a V for vegan. Sounds like vote. Every time you buy something, you're voting for how it's made, who made it, how you want the world to be. Because you're very tangibly putting your energy and time and focus and money into all those things.
It's so true, yeah. And I love that because it's haute couture, which is like super high fashion.
A great accent.
Thank you. And so what got you started on this journey? What inspired it?
Yeah, so if I go all the way back to, I guess, the very first inkling.
Yeah.
When I was 6, there was a girl down the street who I'm still Facebook friends with who got a rabbit fur coat for Christmas.
Wow.
And I didn't know anything about like fur farming or any of that, but I did know that I knew bunnies in the neighborhood, and I just knew that those bunnies had to be dead to make this coat, which I thought was a really silly coat to begin with. And so I just started to wonder, like, what are we doing? How do animals go from being living, beautiful beings to being something we wear, something we eat? When I was 8, I coordinated my friends to go door to door. We made art. We made these little animal pom-poms that I made from Michael's things. It's like Michael's is like that craft store. So like we made little animals and then we would sell them door to door to raise money for the animal shelter. And I'm pretty sure we spent more money on the materials than we actually like made for the animals, but my parents let me donate all of it. So I don't know, I kind of just feel like who you are as a child is who you are before anyone tells you what you should do, what would be successful to do, what they think you should do, what you're good at. And so unfiltered, I loved coordinating my friends to do things, creating art, and speaking up for animals. And that was like it. And that's what I do now, which is really fun. But it took a really long time to get there. So that was when I was 8. When I was 10, I did my social studies fair report on factory farming, vivisection in the fur industry.
Wow, at 8 years old.
10, sorry.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
even still.
Yeah, yeah, definitely made me super weird. So I went from being like popular, like from band and Girl Scouts, like all the like normal popular things, to like no one wanted to speak to me. They just thought I was so strange and they didn't really understand. Because at that point I found a book called Kids Guide to Social Justice. Wow. And it was my favorite book. And I then learned from that book how to do like letter writing campaigns, petitions, and I would call up like beauty companies and I had a whole list of questions for them about their animal testing policy. And so from that, I would do that until they would yell at me and be like, how old are you anyway? And I'm like, it's not the point. Are you or are you not testing on animals? And so at that point, like literally all the friends that I had just, I remember one girl, I was like standing next to them by the lockers and her birthday was coming up. And I knew that because I'd been to her birthday party every year.
Yeah.
And someone said, are you inviting Leanne? And she was like, well, my mom is making me, and it was just one of those things where you're like, wow, okay, really, like nobody understands me. But it was one of those things too where I really didn't have a choice. Like, speaking up is one of those things where I think you feel it inside and you can't turn that off. And I couldn't turn that off. So even though it made me cry like every night and no one wanted to hang out with me, and I'm a really social person, so it was really lonely. But that also, I think, inspired a couple of things for me. One was it taught me how to do what you want, even if it's not popular. I then ended up getting some great leadership roles in band and in a couple other things, and I learned like you can be respected even if you aren't liked. Yeah. And you can be liked in a different way. Although you're still an outsider as a leader, you can still find a role in community if you want to get stuff done, And so that I think helped me a lot later start Vote, because when I started Vote, we were the first vegan fashion label, so everyone thought it was crazy. I couldn't get any, and I didn't even try really to get permission or support or approval, because all the business plan competitions I was doing before that, they all just wanted very easy to understand, like clearly marketable concepts that they thought were proven to win. And so I learned as a child from becoming an outsider that you can have an idea that no one gets and you can just do it your way anyway. And then later people will get it, but you have to do it first. You have to say, I don't need to wait for everyone else to understand or to participate. This needs to be done. I'm the person to do it. I'm just going to do it. And then other people can later can join in.
What you're explaining is the epitome of a change maker. And that's what you are. That's what, people that we're shining a light on are, because it's what we need. And a system that doesn't work anymore is only going to change through change makers. So I honor you for that, and I'm so thankful.
That's really sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the books I was reading this summer I started Vote was Rules for Revolutionaries. And it says that essentially any idea that is going to change things, that the current system and leaders won't understand it because they're in the structure of existing paradigms. And so the things that they love to support and the things that they understand are maybe a slight extension of that, but they're generally things that fit. And if you're creating something that doesn't fit, it's just very important to know that like you're gonna feel a lot of either being ignored or pressure to dilute, pressure to be swayed into doing something that's not going to change anything. And that happened to me in all the business plan competitions I did before I started Vote, where they just kept diluting and being like, well, what about this? And they would just pick things that had already existed. I'm like, why in the world would I put my blood, sweat, and tears into something that already exists? Like, I need to create something that will actually, ideally, hopefully, one day change things.
Exactly.
And otherwise, like, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to get up every day and do the hard work, you know?
Yeah. You can't sell your soul.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Even if it meant that I would have had a lot of friends as a kid, which would have been so nice. But it's funny because, like, now it's like when I created Vote, I didn't realize I created it to say, you know, like, I created it in a way that was using all the parts of my life that made it easy for me. So instead of being like, oh, these are the ways that you have to do marketing, these are the most successful ways to do sales or to run your team or whatever, I knew I didn't have those resources. I didn't have the money to hire consultants for all those things. So I said, okay, you know what? Maybe I just do what's most intuitive for me based on the tools my life has given me. Have you seen Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so in Slumdog Millionaire, you know, where he knows all the answers because his life gave him each specific answer, not because he knows everything.
That's a great example, yeah.
But so I feel like that with starting a business or with creating your career, it's like we've all been given tools in our entire life. And tools just for us, you know, and in a combination just for us. And so each of those tools, we can use them to, like, serve the world with who we are. And it doesn't need to be the way that everyone else would do it or the way that you would hire someone $1 million to do it, you know? And so, like, I run my team like an RA. I was an RA in college. I know how to educate the public on animal issues and environmental issues because I was an education major. I don't know how to sew, but, you know, when I was modeling, I knew how to do a photo shoot and a casting. And, like, these things just, you know, they are, everything can be a tool. Because I think we're all here to serve the world, and so, you know, when I was starting it's like I did it that way. That's how I started the business and how I run it. But I had no idea that it would then be a megaphone for all the things I care about.
Yeah.
And therefore, all the people I meet are all amazing, like you, where it's like someone that I would want to be friends with. That maybe, like, you know, when I was a kid, maybe we were all those kids.
We were.
You know? And so it's like, it's fun to be like, oh, wow, now we all get to find each other.
Exactly.
And the louder your megaphone of who you are, the easier it is to find each other versus, like, trying to hide it, which I did for so long, you know?
And that's the battle. It's like that really, it's the hero's journey, right? And we all, I mean, all the people that are change makers and that are really doing something, that are here to improve our world and improve humanity and the welfare of animals and all living beings, you know, we all have to feel their pain in some way. Otherwise, how could we speak for them?
Totally.
And it's that saying, it's like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always preparing you for your mission and your calling, and all of it is.
It's a perfect design.
Yeah, totally.
It literally is. And and then you can, like, all the tools, everything happens for a reason. So, like, all the tools, and it's just literally tailor making you for your highest self.
Exactly.
And your mission.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly it. Totally. Yeah.
Who would you say is your light hero?
I mean, I read constantly. I would say Pema Chodron, she's a Buddhist American nun.
Okay.
I'm not, like, technically religious or anything. About 5 years ago, my parents, who love Thich Nhat Hanh.
I spent time at Plum Village.
Oh, amazing. Wow, that's so cool. How was that?
Incredible.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
That's amazing. So my parents are, like, fanatics, and it's really funny. Like, they built a meditation room in their house and, like, all this stuff, and they always had, like, his calligraphy, you know?
Yeah.
And they'd given me, awesome, yeah. They'd given me a piece that he had written, which was, I have arrived, I'm home, when I moved to New York. And then I basically, since I live in New York, my parents saw that he was coming to Blue Cliff Monastery, his upstate New York monastery. And my mom wanted to buy tickets like it was a concert. She was like, Leanne, they're going on sale at this time on this day. I need to know beforehand, like, do you want to come? You must come. And I was like, Mom, I'm like, it's actually the week before, like, our big launch for the whole season, where normally I'm, like, just 24/7 working, like, not even sure I can accomplish it, you know, but doing whatever I possibly can. She's like, Leanne, you have to come. And I was like, okay, it's for my mom, I will come. And so I went, and I only could go for, like, half the time, but I mean, it changed my life, you know. His understanding that this is it, like, everything here it's heaven, it's amazing, and it's all for us to enjoy and experience, and we can like really appreciate every moment, and it finally understood. Every time I tried to meditate before in public, like in group settings or whatever, and they always focus on breathing. So I was like, why are we breathing? Why are we focusing on this? And then I realized with spending a few days with him, I was like, oh, we're breathing just to remind ourselves how lucky we are that we have a body. And that's it. We're so lucky that we're alive, and we're so lucky that we have a body. And if we remember that we're breathing, we know that we're alive, and that's what everyone has. And so in my darkest times, I've been able to say, okay, I still have this day. I'm still alive. And what more can I ask for? You know, there's like this quote from Pema's leader. I forgot his name. It's very long. But anyway, it's something like, the bad news is you're falling and there is no ground. And the good news is hold on, I got that wrong. The quote is, you're falling and you have no parachute. But the good news is there is no ground.
I love that.
Yeah, and so that has helped me a lot through like harder times, because I realized that like when you're falling, you're kind of shedding all of those things, like the ego and like, you know, and you're getting to the raw, invincible parts of yourself. And so it's an interesting place to find yourself, where then you realize what you do have and you can be appreciative of that. And so Thich Nhat Hanh, Pema Chodron, those are two amazing people that I just their words help me make sense of this world, and they make it possible for me to like just appreciate more like everything.
Yeah. Explain Vote a little bit deeper, and what are your favorite vegan brands? Like, give us just a little gist of how to easily live a more sustainable vegan life with certain brands that you recommend, and also how you do that through Vote.
Yeah. So we really focus on cold weather alternatives, because that's been like kind of the final frontier of like, how are you vegan in the winter, essentially. So really focus on, you know, winter coats, down alternatives, wool alternatives, sweaters, and coats. As far as clothing and wardrobe goes, though, it's really interesting. People are like, oh, ethical fashion, it's kind of expensive. And so, you know, having 6 years of bootstrapping before, at the beginning of starting the label, I've always had a budget. So for my closet, I just focus on curating it mostly with thrift clothes. Yeah. And so you can just read the labels and find out that it's not made of any animal fibers. I actually have a guide I did for Farm Sanctuary. So if you just go to Farm Sanctuary's website, I did a guide on there, written in video. And essentially you just make sure it's not made of any animal fibers. And then if you do like, you know, 80-90% of your wardrobe thrifted, then 10-20% is like pieces that are investment pieces that are from brands that you want to support. That helps them innovate to then scale. So the way that it goes is, you know, if you look at the distribution model of any movement or anything that's growing from like the tipping point. I don't know if you've read that, but essentially, you know, you start out with the innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, laggards. And so as we do that, you know, it's kind of like with technology, you start with something that, you know, they're making fewer of it. Everything's innovative, high-tech, small scale, and so it's more expensive, like the first VCR. And then after that, you know, you scale it and it becomes possible to become mainstream. Exactly. And so by supporting those brands, by spending, you know, the investing in pieces from them, and then the rest of your wardrobe budget goes to recycling clothing, and then you're not supporting brands that, you know, you don't believe in what they're doing, or they have sweatshops or whatever. That's a way to create a sustainable wardrobe that's all your own. It's just your own look, instead of just listening to what everyone else says to wear. And then it's a way to support those brands that are making that impact and helping them scale, so that one day all fashion will have a new standard of being animal-free, eco-conscious, and made ethically.
Yeah, and good for our environment.
Yes, exactly.
So, final question.
Yeah.
What does LightStyle mean to you?
I think that we forget that, or we've been taught, I guess, that we can't be ourselves, and that we can't make an impact in our daily lives. And I think that when we take that back and we empower ourselves, that everything we say and do, strangers that we meet, or what we eat or wear or buy, all of those things are ways that we can impact the world. And have our light shine brighter, you know, because we're being ourselves. And that's really what the world needs, is for everyone just to be more themselves, you know. And then when we do that, we can love ourselves more and be kinder to everyone else. And a kinder world, as Thich Nhat Hanh always says, begins with you, you know. And so when you find peace within yourself, you're able to help bring peace to the world. And so, yeah, I guess LightStyle would be about choosing to live your life in a way that is authentic and honest and creates more goodness.
I love it. And it's so
Thanks.
true. And thank you for doing that.
Oh, thanks.
Because you are wholeheartedly on
you.
every level. And
Thanks.
it's rare, but I know it's going to become fashionable.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, right? And
Yeah, totally.
you're going with the torch and really shining a light for all of us.
Thank you so much. I
So
really
thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank
Thanks
you
for all
so
you're
much.
doing.
Of course.
Yeah, amazing.
So we're going to put all the links of Vote and the Farm Sanctuary
Yeah.
just below
yeah,
here.
I can totally do that. That's perfect.
And share it with you guys. And
Great.
thank you so much.
Thanks
it was
for
an
having
honor
me.
shining a light on you.
Thank you so much.
If you like this episode of the LightStyle interview series, please share with your friends and family, and don't forget to hit subscribe.